kid, I had a very old book on model trains called How to Run a Railroad. It was first published in 1977, 20 years before I was born, and it had lots of interesting ideas for building a layout on a very low budget. But what I remember most was the charming little 040 steam locomotive that appeared on almost every page. Years later, I found out that it was made by Rivarossi. I set about trying to find one, and after years of searching, I finally succeeded. As it turns out, this model goes back a lot farther than I thought. It first appeared in 1961, back when HO scale itself was still something of a novelty, and it was finally discontinued in 1980, only a few years after its appearance in the book. Although this model was very common on HO scale layouts back in the day, the prototype was actually somewhat unusual. In 1912, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad built 4 chunky little 040 saddle tank engines for industrial waterfront switching in Baltimore and Philadelphia. In 1926, 2 of them had their saddle tanks removed and tenders added, resulting in the basis for this model. Sadly, all 4 of them had been scrapped by 1951. Rivarossi also made a model of the saddle tank version, as did several other model manufacturers in various scales, including Varney, Lifelike, and Bachmann. The reason they were so popular is because, with such a short wheelbase, they could go around very sharp curves, allowing complex layouts to be built in smaller spaces, at the expense of realism. Although these older plastic HO trains have a reputation for rather shoddy quality, the early Rivarossis were actually quite well built, and the quality is nicer than the IHC engines from the 90s and 2000s. However, this is still a 60-year-old model, so I decided to resto-mod it a little bit. The original motor on this one didn't run very well and stuck out the back of the cab noticeably, so I replaced it with a much smaller one from an IHC Mogul. I was concerned I'd have to change the gearing, but it actually runs really well at low speed. I also ground down the huge pizza cutter wheel flanges, did some detail paintwork on the number plates, installed an LED in the headlight, added electrical pickup to the tender, and wired in a DCC decoder. After all that, what we have here is a plucky little engine that holds up surprisingly well compared to more recent models. And unlike most old plastic locomotives, this one still has plenty of miles left to go. Well folks, that wraps up this video. I know I don't post videos on this channel as often as I used to, and I wish I could more often, but I just have so much going on these days with work and other hobby projects that the channel kind of ends up on the back burner a lot of the time. Rest assured though, it's not dead, and I will continue posting videos here whenever I have time to make them. I do have some very exciting projects coming up in the new year, so stay tuned. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.